Okay, we're going to start seated today. It's comfortable to sit cross-legged, Sukhasana, then please try that. So it's not a wide shape with the ankles stacked. It's more of a contained shape, Sukhasana, with the knees and the feet in line. And then one way to make it more comfortable that might appeal is to use a blanket roll. Just show it, and you can take it or leave it like everything. So make a long roll. So this is folded into a quarter. It's a relatively standard size blanket. I roll it up the long way, and then I just I just lift the knees enough so that I can bring it around the shins and under the knees. So it's nice because it just gives you a little more support and this kind of containment. And some folks have discomfort in their ankles when they're sitting this way, so that could be helpful as well. I usually end up wanting to elevate a little bit more when I do that personally because it brings my knees up. Okay, so just a little variation of Sukhasana that might at some point serve you well. Making any other adjustments so you feel rooted down through the sitting bones, spine rising up from the ground of the pelvis. Relax your shoulders, relax your elbows, and kind of draw the elbows back toward the waist, and then just let the hands slide wherever they want to be. So no reaching. Relax your hands. Eyes can be closed or gaze downward. And we're just kind of coming through the temple gate. So inviting a sense of reverence, acknowledging the sacred. And bring your breath into the foreground of awareness. And have this sense of the breath permeating, right? Like if you were to water a tree, it wouldn't be just a splash, it would be for a while, and the water would trickle down and spread and soak. So this image or feel of your breath permeating through every cell in your body eventually. I invite you to keep this sense of like an inward expansion of your breath throughout your practice, whenever you can think of it. And we'll start our movement inquiry with a simple twist here. So if you sat up on a stack of blankets or a bolster, then I would put a block behind the body so you don't have to lean back to reach the floor. So we'll bring the hand to the outer knee, or even let's bring it on top of the knee more than the outer knee, and the other hand back behind you. So you can keep walking or sliding your back hand further back behind you to take the shoulder back. Shoulders drawing down, And then this hand on the knee, the reason I'm asking you to have it on top rather than underneath is because then we tend to kind of like lift the knee up. So you can a little bit press the knee down and away. Lengthen up from root to crown with your inhalations. Rotate around your central axis with your exhalations. And let's just ease up on the neck here. So de-revolve until your nose is in line with your sternum. So you can focus more on the rotation from center. Gently unwind back to center. Other rotation, twisting the other direction. The hand that's behind you, keep walking it back to the other side to really help take this shoulder back away from the sternum. Slide that shoulder blade down the back. Just notice if your habit is to kind of pull this knee up with your hand, see if you can instead have a little nudge down and away. Rotation coming from your center with your breath and align nose with sternum. So we're more center focused versus periphery. Gently unwind back to center. And then from here, if you have the blanket roll supporting you, you can set that aside. If you were sitting up on anything, you can set that aside. We're going to come all the way up to stand. In a wide-legged forward fold. So relatively wide, not so stretched out, but wide enough. And then folding forward. Let's support the head here. So grab your block or two. It's early, right? So this isn't going to be your deepest wide-legged forward fold. You could just kind of ease into the shape by bending one knee and then the other knee before you even support your head. And then eventually, when you feel ready, legs can stay straight or legs can stay bent. And head coming down to something. See if you can root a little more through the inner heels. We're not lifting the outer edges of the feet away from the floor, but a little bit more pressure down from the inner heels. And this sense of kind of securing the outer knees. So rooting inner heels and firming up, we could say, outer knees. What does that feel like? How can you make that happen in your body? Couple more breaths here. Inner heels, outer knees, and inner thighs. So like you're drawing up or firming, securing inner knees. sorry, inner thighs, outer knees, inner heels. And then, without lifting the outer edges of the feet away from the floor, see if you can root a little more. If you need to bend and straighten, you can go a little shorter in your width. So kind of a long hold here. Now we're going to root more to the outer heels without lifting the inner edges of the feet away from the floor, though the arch could lift a bit here. So root more through the outer heels. Try lifting the inner knees. Sense of the inner knees drawing upward and securing the outer hips. So that might be like a hugging in toward the midline or a firming action or just an awareness. Okay, outer heels, inner knees, and outer hips. Last few breaths. Okay, and then from here, we'll lift about halfway. Let's walk the feet in until they're underneath your frame. And then come all the way up to stands. Standing at the top of the mat in Uttanasana, mountain pose. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift about halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands, let's walk back, downward facing dog. Knees could be bent, maybe pedaling out the feet. Push the floor away strongly. Fingers are spread, hands are dialing outward without actually moving, so grip into the mat and let your head hang. Really release the back skull here, not the chest. So sometimes we release the head and then the chest goes down toward the floor. Please don't sink into the chest. There's more of a lifting and a broadening across the back of the shoulders. Breath spreading interiorly. Might have to shake the head a little bit or nod it to really help it to let go. Let's lower the knees down to the ground. If you made that blanket roll earlier, you can grab it. If you didn't, just make it now. So it's long. Try to make it firm. So it's a tight roll. Might have to re-roll your previous noodle. And we're going to take it into the hip crease for child's pose. Okay, so bring it deep into the hip crease. If it's too thick, it won't work. We want it to be able to go underneath, below the ribs and above the hips. So kind of hold the tail ends on either side and let it go into the belly. And then maybe grab a block because your head's probably not gonna reach the ground with that extra height. It's gonna most likely be a bit uncomfortable, and that should decrease. If it's too much, make the roll a little thinner. You can just unroll it a little bit. And then head heavy, head supported, and see if you can breathe into the blanket a little bit. Breathe into it and let it be absorbed kind of into the body. So we're not doing a forceful breath into the prop, but we are letting the belly breathe into the blanket. And then with the exhale, it might absorb in a little bit more readily. Okay, let's add a side bend now. So arms stretch forward first, and then walk the arms over, let's say walk arms over to the left, and then slide your left hand toward you so the elbow can be bent, and keep stretching the right arm away from you. You can still use your block underneath your head if you want, or it might rest on your arm somehow. So there's this kind of lifting and dragging the belly a little more over to the left. Okay, and then we'll come through center and over to the other side. Hopefully you haven't eaten in a couple of hours. That's always recommended for yoga. So if you're stretching over to the right, the left elbow is bent. So you can kind of push that hand into the ground. And then the left arm stretching forward, and a little lift and drag, lift and turn, belly toward the right. Gradually coming back to center. Many of us hold a lot of tension in the belly, so if that was a little bit surprising, you're not alone. Okay, from here, let's remove the blanket. You can just set it aside for now. And then knees hip width apart is what we're striving for here. Let's not strive, but that's suggested in child's pose. And we're going to take a little twist here. It's going to be kind of like a chair pose twist. So we're going to try to bring the right elbow to the outer left knee, maybe to the ground. Maybe it doesn't get to the ground. You could use a block. And if that's just way too much of a twist, you could put the elbow between the knees. Okay, and then hands joining in prayer, push the elbow down, turn through the belly, press the hands into each other, and let's look down at the ground. This upper elbow can kind of draw back. Like back toward your feet. See how that changes the orientation of the shoulder. Notice if this left hip, if you're twisting left, if this left hip is popping way up, see how it feels to release that left sitting bone back down. A few more breaths here. This is a twist deep in the belly, maybe even below the navel. Not the hips, but below the navel, or at least at the level of the navel. See how it feels when you initiate a little bit more from there. If your wrist's unhappy, bottom hand can be a fist. Okay, and gently unwind. Just take a breath here at center. And then we'll take it over to the other side. So if you just twisted left, now we're going to the right, left elbow, outside of the right knee. If you have to compromise what feels like solid alignment to get the elbow to the ground, please put a block underneath your elbow or a blanket maybe. This side feels different for me, possibly will for you also. Hands join in prayer. You could have the elbow between the knees. We're kind of pressing the elbow down, drawing the top elbow a little bit back. I like gaze down here, but if it feels a lot better to look out in front of you or up toward the ceiling, you can. Twisting deep, deep in the belly. More ability to rotate when you draw the abdominals inward. Make sure your bottom shoulder isn't crowding the ear, drawing it down away from the ear. Unwind your spine. Let's rise up to tabletop. Root through each finger, shy the knees in slightly so they're not directly underneath the hips. Push the floor away, screw the hands into the ground away from each other, and then just slightly soften the chest toward the ground. Pick the feet up and shift them side to side. So the tail's wagging in the process. You could have a blanket under your knees if this is uncomfortable. Let the head turn to look toward the feet. You might slow it down a little and see if the end range is different. You could keep it a little faster and a little smaller, or maybe a little slower with a greater range of motion. A few more times here. Really feel what's happening. So that one side of the waist shortening while the other elongates. It's so easy to just kind of breeze through things without even being present to feel sensation. Okay, and then back to center. Bring the toes down, coming back into downward facing dog. See what it feels like to lift the inner arms, especially inner upper arms, to lift. So up toward the ceiling. Let the head be heavy. And let's find a similar movement to what we were just doing. So you can pick up your heels and pivot your feet. So toes point one way, heels go the other way, the knees bend, and then over to the other side. Heels one way, toes the other side. And keep pushing the floor away. Side to side. Feel how the one waist shortens, the other opens. Might be a really nice stretch through the whole arm, all the way to the hip. Keep releasing your head. And then back to center here in downward facing dog. Walk your feet up toward your hands. Inhale to rise. Exhale to center. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift about halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. That's it. Plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Let's lower knees down. Stay strong through your center. Hands are kind of dragging back without moving. Elbows draw back as you lower down, all the way down. Inhale to a small cobra. Root through the front of the pelvis. Squeeze the glutes. Keep drawing the elbows back. That's for the shoulders. And then push the floor away. Downward facing dog. Keep your hips level. Moving slowly with intention. Right leg rising up and back to three-legged dog. As you shift forward toward plank, hug the knee in and up. Place the foot between the hands. You might want to have your blocks handy. Sorry, didn't think about our future shape. Okay, we're gonna ground. Let's ground left foot, rising up for a pyramid pose. So hands to the hips, rise up, square the hips, scissor the hips, front foot dragging back, back foot dragging forward. Let's sweep arms up alongside the ears. We're gonna flow a few times first. Exhale, hinge, fold just to halfway. Strong legs. Inhale, push the feet down to rise up. Keep pulling his left hip forward. Exhale, fold halfway. Again, finding your rhythm. Especially when you're folding forward, you can try drawing the right hip back away from the right side of the rib basket. One more time here. Inhaling to rise. Exhaling. Hips draw back. It's more of a forward reach than a rush to get down. And then hands can come to blocks. Let's keep the spine long rather than rounding. Chest moves forward. Head in line with the spine. And deepening the pose by deepening the hip crease rather than dropping the head and kind of diving in. Take your time here. You might eventually go lower setting on the blocks or hands down, but this is not our goal. Bend your front knee, just slide the blocks out of the way. Step back to plank pose. Lower the knees down first. Keep your abdominals strong. Lower down. Inhale, Cobra, Bhujangasana. Gaze is down. Exhale, downward facing dog. Slow intentional movement into three-legged dog with the left leg and hips stay level. Shifting forward toward plank, hug the thigh up toward the trunk. Place the left foot between the hands. Maybe place your blocks for your future self Step your back foot in enough to root the heel and rise up. Both hips point forward. There's a scissoring action you can find by dragging the front foot back and the back foot forward. Arms sweep up alongside the ears and then keep them there. So oftentimes I see I'm folding and the arms really want to go down. See, if you can, it's up to your shoulders really. You can keep your arms alongside your ears, shoulders and back, and then root and rise. Let's do this a few more times. Take your time. Strong legs, grounded feet. Every time you rise back up is an opportunity to check in and scissor your hips again. One more time. Hips reach back, arms stretch forward, and then the hands can come down to blocks. Let's not dive today. Let's keep the chest moving forward. Back skull aligning with the sacrum. Deepening the pose by deepening the hip crease. Bend your front knee, scoot the blocks just out of your way, step back to plank pose. Lower the knees down first. Try to keep your body in a plank shape from the hips all the way up to the head. As you lower, keep drawing the elbows back, rooting through the bases of the index fingers. Inhale, cobra, glutes are active, that keeps the back safe and distributes the load. Your exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Hips stay level, move slowly into right leg, three-legged dog. Shift forward, hug the leg in, keep the hips high. Place the right foot between the hands. Now we're headed for warrior three. Let's use the blocks, at least initially, highest setting. Blocks a bit forward, out in front of you. Push the right foot into the ground to balance on the right leg. And then check in, if you're able to determine, are your hips level? So most commonly, the left hip is up and the left toes end up pointing out to the side. So take a look back and see if you can dial this left hip down so the toes point down. We're working to create a line of energy from the back heel to the crown of the head. Gaze is down. Now let's bend the standing leg. So right leg bending. Holding this bend for a couple of breaths. And then returning to a straight or straighter leg. And see if you can root a little more through the outer right heel and lift up through the inner right knee. If that makes zero sense, just you didn't hear it. And tons of energy through the back leg. Okay, so back glute is on. Imagine you could push your left foot into a wall. Chest is reaching forward. Abdominal wall is drawing toward the back body. If you like, you can bring your right arm alongside your ear. And maybe also your left. Hands return to the blocks. Left foot lands to the back of the mat. Set the blocks just out of your way. Step back to plank pose. Lower the knees down. Try to stay firm through your center. Elbows draw back as you lower. Inhale, cobra, press pubic bone down, down, down. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. Slowly, left leg, three-legged dog, hips level. Shifting forward toward plank. Bring the thigh in, bring the knee in, hips high. Place the left foot between the hands. Might have to help it there. And then let's grab the blocks. Blocks out in front of you a bit. Push through the floor with your left leg. Adjust your blocks as you need to so that they're right beneath the shoulders. And then take a look back at your right leg. Is the hip up or the toes out? Dial the right outer hip down. Toes point down. Chest is moving forward. Gaze is down. Bend your left leg. Standing leg bending. Bring your awareness to your outer left heel and your inner left knee. So we're going to try rooting a little more through the outer heel. We're not lifting the inner heel, just a little more pressure through the outer heel as you straighten the legs. So you can lift a little more through the inner knee. Maybe it's not happening physically, but your mind is visualizing it. Energy through the back leg. Imagine you're pushing your right foot into the wall, into a wall. Maybe extending right arm forward. Maybe also left. Bring the hands back down. Land the foot toward the back of the mat. Warrior 3 is underrated and very difficult, especially compared to Warrior 1 and 2. So if you're struggling, you're not alone. Stepping back to plank pose. Let's lower the knees first, at least one more time. So we're really honing alignment. Elbows draw back. Gaze is down as you lower. Inhale to cobra. We're going slow here. Slow is harder than fast. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Walk your feet up toward your hands. You've got your blocks there. Let's use them to support the head. You might go high setting. See which setting works for you in order to fully release the neck. Take your feet a little wider than hip width, maybe as wide as mat width, but at least shoulder width apart. Knees can be bent here. Let's bend the knees rather than round the spine. If it's reasonable, you can take your hands just lightly around your outer heels. And let's just breathe and sort of rest here. Okay, now if it's available, we're going to take hold of the outer right heel with the left hand. I'm not mirroring. So holding the outer, well, it's like the more the outer ankle, but the fingers can kind of wrap around to the heel. So just reaching across. And then this right arm, the free arm, can stretch forward. Head still supported if that's making sense for you. And then bend your left leg for a moment. So not the hand, not the leg that you've got a hold of. Bend that kind of free leg for a moment. And turn the belly more toward this right thigh. So you might be more on the side of the head. Okay, and then you can keep that knee bent or maybe see what it feels like to slowly re-extend the leg, but keep that rotation in the belly. It might feel better to take the back of the foot so the palm faces forward rather than around in front. That's just a little variation option. One might feel better for your shoulder. Couple more breaths here, working this rotation of the belly independent of the hips. Coming back to touch center. And then right hand across to left ankle or behind to more of the heel, the back of the ankle. Not a big deal either way. So if you're like, I'm not sure what you mean, just go with the way that makes sense for you. Holding the left ankle somehow with the right hand. Stretch the left arm forward. It could be out more to diagonal. Give your shoulder a little bit more space. Be sure your head is still supported if that's reasonable. We're starting to turn the belly to the left thigh. So turning the belly toward the leg you've got a hold of. And then bend the free leg and turn. It's kind of like a lift and drag, lift and turn the belly more toward your left leg, the one you've got a hold of. See if you can maintain that rotation as you straighten out the leg or straighten the leg again. Coming back to center. From here, you can let your head dangle, bend your knees, try to articulate, roll through your spine to come up to standing. So head will rise last. And then we'll just pause at the top and feel the movement of energy within. Okay, we're working now with Shirshasana, headstand, or perhaps dolphin, or perhaps headstand prep. So it's not all or nothing. I use a blanket because I have long arms, and if I don't, my head doesn't reach the ground. Okay, that might apply to you. Or if you're the opposite, where your upper arms aren't as long, right? And there's no way you can get your forearms to the ground with your head touching, then you would support your forearms. Okay, so we basically want to create this level playing field for the top of the head to the forearms. Okay, so if long arms, you might need support under your head. If not short arms, but proportionate to the length of your neck and head, then you support the arms. Okay, so it's not gonna help if your arms are long, then you put your forearms and your head on the belt, on the blanket, because then everything is at this new height. So what I do is we're going for this interlace shape. So I put my arms underneath the blanket and the head on top of the blanket. You could just be you and your mat. It's a little nicer on your delicate skull to have some support. Yeah, so very few of us are really made for headstand on the pavement, like Dharma Mitra. Okay, so you could come straight into dolphin. I'm first going to show this headstand prep. So I'm bringing the top of the head to the ground, and the back and the hands are on the back of the head, right? I have them a little bit open, rather than closed together. I don't have them all the way open with the hands cradling the whole head. I like a little bit of closure between the palms, so it's more like the base of the hand that ends up connecting to the back of the head. Okay, so if you're with me here, the hands are interlaced, whether they're under a blanket or your arms are on a blanket is up to you. And then we're pressing the forearms into the floor. So pressing the forearms into the floor is really mostly what it's about. We don't want the elbows wide. It's really important that the elbows be shoulder width apart. If the elbows go wide, that starts to change the orientation of the scapula and becomes less ideal for weight bearing. Okay, push the floor away. Next stage is to lift the knees. Knees can be bent here, heels can be up. All about pressing the floor, pressing the floor. So there's only about 30% weight in my head when I'm in headstand personally, and I'm keeping more of it in my forearms. So you can stay right here. It's just like dolphin, but your head is down, yeah? Option to walk the feet in a bit more. And then next stage is to bring the knee in toward the chest, everybody. So thigh to trunk, knee to chest, not knee up to the ceiling, knee to chest. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the thigh in, like you could keep a piece of paper there. You can hold that for a few breaths and then switch sides. Knee is in, not up. Thigh is squeezing in toward the trunk. Elbows are pressing down. If it's available, you do it with both legs. So I'd really recommend that to be your headstand practice. I mean, you could kick up to the wall, but if you're always kicking up to the wall, you're getting the inversion effect, but not the core strengthening eventual balance effect. So we'll be here for maybe a few more breaths. You can come down, take another round. If you feel ready to come up, certainly smart to have the wall as your backup plan, but I really encourage you to work with your strength. And then the wall really is a backup plan versus what you're going for. So you can walk the feet in, squeeze one leg in, squeeze the other leg in, Then the knees come up to open the hip flexors. Then the feet rise up. Legs are hugging together if they're straight and reaching up toward the ceiling. Hands are soft. And then maybe you can rewind the way you came in. Bend the knees. Bring them in. Oop, that was a little fast. But then feet down and child's pose. It's a little hard to talk and do it. So wherever you've been, we're going to meet now in child's pose to rest. If you've been in Shirshasana or Shirshasana prep, you've had some weight on your neck. So from child's pose, just lift your head so you're looking down at the ground, but the head's not on the ground. And then release the head back down. One more time, lift the head, gaze is down, just bringing kindness and patience in for the neck. And then release the head down. So you can stay right here, or we'll add just a little variation to child's pose. Toes tuck under, interlace your fingers behind you, and reach the arms up. And then release the hands down. From here, we're going to come into Shavasana. This is not the end of our practice, but we are coming down onto our backs. Let your body drop. Notice what you notice. Okay, we'll do a little spinal undulation now. Let's plant the feet about hip width apart. Let's slide the feet a little away from the knees, so they're not underneath the knees. Really, however much you have to have a neutral pelvis. The pubic bone and 2 points in the front of the pelvis make a triangle and a table. They're all horizontal on the same plane. Interlace your hands behind the head at the base of your skull. If you have neutral pelvis, there should be a little gap between the lower spine and the floor. And I'd like you to try maintaining that rather than pressing the lower back down. So we're building back strength, which is so important. As you inhale, you can press the arm bones down. You can even press the sacrum down. And then exhale, don't change the pelvis. Squeeze the elbows together. Peel the shoulder blades up off the ground. Curling the upper body without curling the pubic bone. Try that a few more times. Inhaling to open, you can press the arms down for the shoulders, the chest, and then exhale, curl up. See how much of your shoulder blades you can peel up off the ground. The next time you curl up, stay up. And then just go slightly across the midline, so elbows in and elbows a little bit toward left hip. So you can peel the shoulder blades up a little more as you come back to center, and then elbows a little bit toward right hip. Keep an eye on the pubic bone that it's not coming up. Do that a couple more times. So up through center and over just a little bit off the midline. This is hard. Come back to center, release the head down. Let's slide the legs out straight, touch back into Shavasana for a moment, let the belly breathe. Bring your knees up over your hips and arms out to a T, palms are down. Maybe let's use a block here. Let's use a block between the knees on the medium setting. So that's roughly hip width apart for most of us. We're gonna let's lower the knees to one side, keep the opposite shoulder down. The knees can come more up toward the elbow. And then up through center. And over to the other side. We don't want the knees further away than your hips are, so at least in line with the hips. And only go as far as you can, keeping the shoulders rooted. You might as well squeeze the block. If you're feeling it a lot in your back, well, it's work for the back, so you should, but you can also engage the abdominal wall. So it's not a squeezing action, it's a drawing toward the back body action. Like you could suction cup your abdominals toward the interior of your back, if that makes sense. We'll go about one more time, side to side. And then next time the legs lower to the left, you can take the block out and straighten the legs out to the side. Straighten or straighter. And then we'll roll onto the left side and stack the hands. If neck just got unhappy and the head's not on the ground, put something underneath your head. You might not need it in a moment, but you might. Okay, I'm not really in the screen here. So you're on your left side. That's it. Your legs are off to the left. And now we'll move the top arm, the right arm. Stretching the right arm up toward the ceiling and then back toward the floor behind you. And then up toward the ceiling and out in front of you, hands are stacking. Let your head roll with the movement. Knees can be bent, feet are flexed. The next time the right arm is out in front of you and the hands are stacked, legs stay as they are. We'll lift and turn the torso to the left. So we're coming into a spinal twist. With the legs off to, it'll now be your right. We're turning the belly to the left. Arms outstretched. Some of you might be able to hold over the tops of your feet with your right hand, or you can just have that arm down, and you can have your cheek or your forehead, I think probably left cheek, on the ground. You can kind of use your hands, push them into the floor, maybe lift and turn the belly a little bit more to the left. Breathing here. Bend the knees if that's better for you. Okay, from here, we'll come up onto the forearms and stretch your top leg back behind you. So right leg stretching back the length of your mat pretty much. And this is a tough one, but you're going to see if you can rotate this right outer hip down in order to tuck the right toes under. It's revolved triangle-ish, turning the belly to the left. So just to be clear here, left leg is out to your right, right leg is back behind you. We're trying to tuck the toes and push through the heel. We're on our forearms and rotating the belly to the left. You could stay up on your forearms, or maybe nicer to come down, stack your hands, and rest your forehead on your hands. Last couple breaths here. If you're on your hands, if your elbows and forearms are down, relax your shoulders. And then come back onto your left side and just plant your right foot in line with your right sitting bone. Let your right arm open out to a T. I should have told you to have a belt. If it's easy to grab your left foot with your left hand, you can do that, or just sending the arm and the arm toward the foot is cool too. Let's push the right foot into the ground. Drive the right knee away from you. Now belly's turning to the right. Bend your left knee, roll onto your left side. So arms are still out at a T. We're back in that twist that's far more familiar than anything else we've done here on the floor. And we're going to take that ride on the second side. So bringing knees up and over to your right. And then straightening the legs out in front of you. You can push through your heels. Turn the belly to the left. And then stretch left arm up toward the ceiling. Roll onto your right side, hands stack. And now we take the arm movement. Left arm up toward the ceiling, back to or toward the floor behind you. Head going along with the movement, circling the arm, open and closed. Knees can be bent. Flex the feet a little bit so they're active, wakeful. Arm need not get all the way to the ground. There's no forcing. Just kind encouragement. One more time here. And then next time the arm is out in front of you, we keep the legs where they are and prop up onto your forearms so you can turn your belly to the right, opposite the legs. Try to keep that 90-degree hinge in your hips. Okay, and then we're going to come down onto the belly and stretch the arms out to the side. And let's be on the right cheek here. Might be able to lift and turn, belly to the right a little bit more. If your SI joint is okay with it, you can keep the feet stacked. Okay, now here's where we really came up onto the forearms. It was good to get into that shape. We'll come up onto the forearms and we're stretching that top leg back behind you. Do your best to roll that left hip down and tuck your toes under. Ooh, one side's different than the other, that's for sure. Okay, it's kind of like revolved triangle. And then you can stay up on your forearms, or probably feels nicer to come down, maybe feels nicer, and rest your forehead on your hands. Elbows wide, shoulders relaxed. Pushing through the left heel, if you can manage to tuck the toes under, that's not easy. Energy through the right leg. Belly turning right. Come back onto the right side of your torso. And then roll kind of onto your back. Plant your left foot in line with your left sitting bone, like as if you were to do bridge. You can open left arm out to a T so the left shoulder can drop down. If it's reasonable, you can hold your right foot with your right hand. or just actively push through the heel. And let's press down through the left foot and drive the knee forward away from you. Okay, from here, bend your right knee and slide the legs out straight, Shavasana. Notice what you notice. Bring your feet to the ground. Find that neutral pelvis, triangle table. See if you can maintain that and bring the knees over the chest, over the hips. Interlace hands, the base of the skull behind the head. Inhale, press the arms down. Exhale, don't change the pelvis as you curl up. Peel the shoulder blades up off the ground. Follow your breath here a few times, working the core. You can work with Mula Bandha, draw in and up on the pelvic floor, and keep the abdominals drawing back or down. Keep an eye on your pubic bone that it's not curling up, the back's not flattening out. And then we'll do the same variation we did a moment ago before all that crazy floor work. So we'll curl up and stay up, and then just slight offset to one hip. Try to peel the shoulder blades a little higher up as you come through center and over to the other hip. So it's a little like arc from one hip up over to the other side. One more round. And then release, head down, feet down. You can straighten the legs if you want. Take a moment, rest and receive. Okay, and then I think we'll do a blanket supported bridge instead of a shoulder stand. We spent quite a bit of time on the headstand. And just don't want it to be too much. So we'll use a blanket in this long, flat shape. So if you have a relatively standard size blanket, fold it into a quarter, and then fold it again the long way. That's considered a standard fold in restorative yoga. And then you fold it once more, and that's a single fold. Restorative blanket terminology. So this will go underneath the upper back, not the head, and we'll grab a block that will end up underneath the sacrum. So when you lie down, be sure your head is not on the blanket. Tops of the shoulders are at the top edge of the blanket. C7, cervical vertebrae 7 at the base of the spine is on the blanket. So you have, that feels like the head is dropping back a little bit. Once you come up, it won't be as much. It won't feel as much. Lifting your hips. Put the block underneath your sacrum, not underneath your lower back. You can try different settings here. Maybe low setting is nice for today. You can kind of walk your feet a little bit more away from you. If you want, arms drape up around the head. Or they can stay down or out wide. It's nice if they clear the blanket. Try to let the lower back drop down. This shouldn't feel, or at least I'm not suggesting that it be a lot of work here. More of a rest, restoration. Focus your breath in your back ribs, especially. We'll be here for a couple more minutes. And you might come back to that visual of watering a tree, your breath spreading inwardly, sense of kind of soaking up the breath. On a cellular level. Last few breaths here. When you feel ready, you can root your feet, lift your hips up off the block, and carefully lower down. And then roll to your side, pull the blanket out from under you. Maybe it goes underneath your thighs or over your body. Setting up for Shavasana. And once you find stillness, you can just really let your body drop down, surrendering to gravity. Enter a state of non-doing. And just rest. Coming back into the river of breath. Bring your awareness back into your sacred vessel, body. And if and when you feel ready, gently and slowly making your way up to a seat. Let's take a breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you.